But, you know, Rick Santorum has voted for funding for Planned Parenthood. Rick Santorum talking about how he voted to double the size of the Department of Education, how he voted for No Child Left Behind, how he voted for Medicare Part D, the largest entitlement program in the last decade, and how Rick Santorum has also supported foreign aid repeatedly. You know, idea when we have this massive debt, and Rick Santorum, I don't think, has ever voted against foreign aid.
In this paper, they say the real problem with Rick Santorum is he's too liberal. They didn't like my legislation calling for a raise in the minimum wage. And the White House probably called me a lot of things when I fought their efforts to cut Amtrak funding. The truth is,
I believe the state has the right, if they want to have a union dues requirement, that the state should be able to do that.
Let's talk about your record as a conservative senator. When you were in the Senate, you voted against the National Right to Work law, which would have allowed people to get jobs without having to join a union. For years, you repeatedly supported the Davis-Bacon Act, which requires government contractors to pay the prevailing wage. In both of those issues, you sided with big labor, sir.
Billions in wasteful pork, voting for the Bridge to Nowhere, a teapot museum, even an indoor rainforest. Santorum voted to raise the debt limit 5 times, increasing spending and debt by $3 trillion. And he even voted to let convicted felons vote.
You are also coming under fire for your tax plan. The Conservative National Review says this: the radical differences between taxes for manufacturing and other activities would introduce perhaps the biggest and most damaging tax distortion in American history. It would also invite endless fraud.
I have had a lot of earmarks. In fact, I'm very proud of all the earmarks I put in bills, because I think I'll defend earmarks. I think members of Congress should be able to say where money should be spent.
I'm proud to endorse Arlen Specter.
I'm Arlen Specter, and I authorize this message.
To get things done, you've got to work together. I teamed up with Joe Lieberman to make college more affordable for low-income families. And Barbara Boxer and I wrote a law protecting open space. I'm even working with Hillary Clinton to limit inappropriate material in children's video games, because it makes more sense to wrestle with America's problems than with each other. I'm Rick Santorum, and I approve this family.
If the Supreme Court says that you have the right to consensual sex within your home, then you have the right to bigamy, you have the right to polygamy, you have the right to incest, you have the right to adultery. You have the right to anything. Does that undermine the fabric of our society? I would argue, yes, it does. The things I will talk about that no president has talked about before is, I think, the dangers of contraception in this country. It's not okay. It's a license to do things in a sexual realm that is counter to how things are supposed to be.
In a recent interview with ABC's Jake Tapper, Santorum was questioned about his views regarding contraception, and there he explained that states should have the right to ban their use.
The state has a right to do that. I've never questioned whether the state has the right to do that.
many in the Christian faith have said, well, that's okay. I mean, you know, contraception's okay. It's not okay, because it's a license to do things in the sexual realm that is counter to how things are supposed to be.
The internet is not a free zone where anybody can do anything they want to do.
It is ridiculous that we have a retirement age in this country of age 65 today. At least age 70. I'd go even farther if I could.
I don't believe we should raise the retirement age. I've come out foursquare against that.
I don't want to make people's lives better.
You said, quote, I don't want to make black people's lives better by giving them somebody else's money.
I looked at that, and I didn't say that. If you look at it, what I started to say as a word and then sort of changed, and it sort of came out, and people said I said black. I didn't.
And I think when his record gets examined, Santorum's going to have a lot of splaining to do.
I've got some real concerns about this movement within the Republican Party and the Tea Party movement to sort of refashion conservatism. And I will vocally and publicly oppose it and do my best to correct the record. There are folks who rail against earmarks. And I'm not someone, as you know, if you follow my career, who believes earmarks are necessarily a bad thing.